Welcome to Comics in the Making. My name is Ryan Holgerson. I'm the creator of Slackmatic, and I'm joined, as always, by Levi Erickson, the creator of The Big. Levi, how you doing today?
It's a little cold on aboard Asteroid M this morning, but it's the temperature is rising.
We are 2 days out from a winter storm here in the Carolinas. It luckily did not really last long, and I don't know about your neck of the woods, but it kept saying snow, 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 and I'm looking at it, and like we definitely got some snow, but it was like an hour or so in, it was freezing rain, which is way worse. Would have much rather had the snow keep falling, but it got slick pretty fast, and unfortunately, I was out in it for about 5-6 hours on Friday. So,
well, you're one of those frontline workers, one of those essential services. So my daughter as well. So she got her first experience driving in the weather, and it was good. She made it across the street in the cul-de-sac. One of the neighbors had a car parked super awkward. I was kind of curious as to why that was the case. If it was just too slick for them to continue getting closer to where their family parks, or I had no idea. But yeah, everything was encrusted with ice yesterday morning. Sadly, we did not get the accumulation that we were hoping for. But school was canceled on Friday anyways, so that was
same here.
I'll tell you what, it was during third block that they the district dropped that knowledge on everyone. And my third block, we have lunch in the middle of it. Right before they went to lunch, we got that notification. And then when they came back, the day was over.
Yeah.
Rest of third block and finally fourth block, it was done. It was all done. So but yeah, having Friday, I ended up going up to campus anyways because students needed files for their asynchronous assignments, and I didn't bring the external thumb drives home, so I went up there and hung out, and it was easy going and low key. It didn't start coming down until the late afternoon, so we were still we were still in fine shape to drive around. We ran our errands and got the last of what we need, to hunker down for the next 8 hours. So
right. Yeah, no, we started getting it at like 2:00. I think it actually hit us first. Because it was coming from the south. And it wasn't too bad. I mean, we closed early where I work, and I was home by like 8 or so, maybe a little earlier actually, probably more like 7:30.
Nice.
I mean, so it wasn't too bad. I'll tell you what, driving in the South in this kind of weather, it's not so. The roads are bad. They don't treat them like they do up north and stuff like that. But the drivers just completely clueless on what to do. And at least 4 times on Friday driving around, I had a big ass pickup truck right in my ass. Why are you driving so slow? I got 4-wheel drive. And 4-wheel drive is not 4-wheel stop, everybody. But anyway, that's my rant about southern redneck drivers when it's icy out.
I'll piggyback on that because for the Charlotte area, because of the nature of the main industries, you attract a lot of people from the northern states. There's if you look at the license plates on the front of the vehicles, you would think you're in Pittsburgh because there are so many Steelers license plates on everyone. So you attract all these people, and they've been here for years. And I hate to tell you, driving in the winter conditions is a perishable skill.
Yeah.
Right? I don't care if you grew up driving in it or not. You haven't driven in it effectively, for years. The last time we had any kind of weather event like this was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And which is also why we don't invest in all the highway stuff to keep the roads clear. We just, let's just go ahead and shut down for the next day, 8 to 12 hours, and we'll be back to normal. It's more cost effective that way. So you get a perfect storm of overconfident transplants who think they know how to do it, but they don't have the skills anymore, as well as the main character, rural, whatever I think is right is what's right characters, and the results are the same.
Yeah.
Horrible, catastrophic drivers that the rest of us who have common sense and a little bit of humility, who were just taking it easy, going out only if absolutely necessary, and we have to deal with all of them. I'll tell you, years ago, I was in Jacksonville, North Carolina. That's on the coast. That's
right.
Further south. We even get less weather. We got a weather event, and although I was under the impression we were still going to work in the morning, turns out we were not. But however, and I was driving a 1972 Ford Torino, and so yeah. And I'm just motoring down. I think it's the main drag there is Highway 17 and maybe 24, but regardless, I'm the only one on the road. And all of a sudden, in my rear view, I see a Ford Ranger starting to make pace with me. I mean, this guy's going much faster, and I'm just like, oh man, I don't want someone driving like that, close to me. And it was just the stereotypical Ford Ranger. And as he starts to pass me, I glance over. He gives me the stink eye, and it's the classic good old boy trope that's driving this Ford Ranger. And so he just, he just gives me that look of like, you little wimp, driving so slow, whatever. And he gets about 3 or 4 car lengths in front of me and starts to spin. And I'm just motoring. I'm practically idling, on down, and he's spinning. And as the front end, as I start to take, catch up with him, whatever, his front end comes to mine. So as I'm continuing forward, right, his truck is spinning, and we're just like I'm looking at him. His eyes are like this. I'm just looking at him, and I'm, giving him the, the shitty grin, and everything. And I just keep going. He actually settles. He does a 360 or thereabouts. He kind of settles, and I just keep glancing my rear view, and he just keeps getting further and further back. However slow I was going, he started going twice as slow because I ended up where I didn't see him anymore. And
that's funny.
About. The people who think that they just a good old boy.
Yeah.
Not to pick on, rural people. I mean, I've already stated that, the northern transplants that lose those skills, they do the same thing.
Yeah.
And news for you. If you have a pickup and you don't have any weight in the back and you're trying to drive on snow and ice, you may as well have a one-wheel drive.
Yeah, no, we had a little Toyota Tacoma years and years ago, and it snowed, and I mean it just started snowing. I was working, same thing. I was out there. I mean it wasn't even calculable of how much snow was on the ground. I took a left turn out of a neighborhood and was just like, I didn't do a 360 like that guy, but I was fishtailing all over the place. And I was young. I don't know, 19, 20, probably 20. And luckily I got back to the store and I had a boss who was like, you're not going back out in that Deathmobile. Like immediately took me off the road. He knew I was not going to be able to do it. And that was back. I mean, we probably got, 1.5 feet of snow that time. Like, I mean, it doesn't happen anymore.
No.
We left the truck there for like 3 or 4 days. We didn't work for a while. Those days are over, but it's climate change is a myth. And, so I don't know why everyone keeps talking about it. But hey, that's the longest weather intro we've had in forever. And it's all leading up to even more excitement. This is the all math episode.
But not all math, because we're gonna run the numbers, right? And I think it's super important. When you said you want
numbers are math, I'm just
important for illustrators, for creators, not illustrators, for creators, comic book creators, indie comics, creator owned, to get a feel for, as important as making your book is, there's this side of it. If you plan on, going to shows, if you plan on doing, publishing, and you've got to balance it.
Right.
And then we'll wrap up with just some red meat juice,
well,
I mentioned. So we'll.
Sure. Well, here's so here's the thing. This episode is actually a year in the making. Last year, I started keeping track of all of my expenses, all of my profits, every little bit of money that was either coming in because of comics or going out because of comics. I started keeping track of.
Yeah.
Now, I've been self-publishing comics for almost 30 years. This is the first time I ever actually did that. I always just kind of had it in the background. I had a rough idea, but I've never really made serious money from it. It's always been a hobby for profit. But this past year, I was like, I'm really making a push. I really want to keep track of this, and really to help me strategize moving forward. And really, I've got to say it's been successful. So before I start going through my numbers, and I'm going to be really transparent about this, but before I start going through the numbers, I just want to throw out there for people out there listening, some of you are going to hear these numbers and you're going to go, what a loser. That's hardly anything. And then some of you are going to hear them and go, oh, wow, that's like double what I brought in or whatever. Look, everybody's on their own path. Everybody's different. This is me just being transparent. And this is more about encouraging you to maybe do the same. Not that creativity is all about like money and stuff like that, but I think it's important to kind of help when it's coming to a game plan and stuff like that. So let's start with the good stuff. I've got everything broken down. So we're going to start with my sales from last year. And honestly, some of this I was kind of surprised. So my number one source of comic income last year, what do you think it was, Levi? Where do you think I brought in the most money?
I'm gonna say Patreon.
No, I wish.
Damn it.
So number one source of money coming in was Etsy. Etsy, I did $547.02 for the entire year. That's the most Etsy sales I've ever had for a year. Not a lot, but I published a bunch. Coming in at number two, we have conventions, and this kind of surprised me because this is within $1. Cons, I did $546.75. So right up there with Etsy. Coming in at third was Patreon.
Okay.
Patreon was $249.96. And then fourth, I've got other. And other is really, it's just speaking engagements that me and Levi do. We do get paid for that. We did a couple at the library last year. And that was like $150.
Boom.
And then boom. Yeah. And then Amazon. Amazon was my last one. I sold one Book of Things last year on Amazon. That was a total of $4.62. All said, the amount of money that I brought in last year was $1,498.35. So pretty happy, honestly, with the amount of money that I brought in. I was pretty happy with that. I've had better years as far as like bringing money in. But those were years that I was doing commissions or doing freelance work and stuff like that. And this past year, I cut all of that out. I said, I'm done with it. I want to do this on my own terms. I hate having a boss. I hate having a boss, even when it's a writer saying, I want you to draw this. I hate it. Yeah. And if I was going to do it, I was going to do it on my own terms. So that's the money I brought in. Now let's talk about the money that got me to that. So what do you think I spent the most money on last year, Levi?
Oh, dude, I'm going to get this one right. Conventions.
You're wrong. Number one was actually printing.
Okay.
Printing, I spent $832.37. Now, I'm gonna give you a 50-50 there, because if it wasn't for conventions, some of this stuff would not have gotten printed. There were printing things that I did that were for giveaways or specifically for show sales, especially the stuff I was doing with bundles and stuff like that. But yeah, no, $832. That was printing 5 or 6 books from last year. The next category I've got this under miscellaneous because it's a bunch of stuff. But it was $628. That's like display that I bought, the backdrop that we have for Comics in the Making, hotels, parking, software. I updated Clip Studio. So stuff like that all went into there.
Right.
The next was cons, and specifically just like the convention tables. And that was like $270. That's so really. Well, it's not. And I'm going to get a little further into this. But yeah, no, 270, not too bad. And then postage, I was at $121.89. So altogether, the amount of money I had in expenses was $1,852.47. If you remember the money that I had coming in, it was less than that. Yeah. So for the year, I lost $354.12 all on comics. So,
there's always, TikTok.
Well, there's not, but I mean, I think that's going away. But
I was going to say, the comic book thing is not going to work out for you, right? There's other things you can do.
I actually do pretty good on TikTok. My last few comics have done thousands of views or whatever on there. But here's the thing. For having spent almost $2,000 in various comics expenses to only lose $350 last year, I'm actually pretty happy.
Yeah.
I was not upset that I lost money. I was pretty sure I was going to lose money. At no point this year was money a goal. Mm-hmm. My goal this year or last year was all about the work and all about building an audience and how much, how many comics I can make and stuff like that. And going into this year, it's the same. But by doing this, I'll tell you what, I've been able to kind of narrow down a strategy. I still feel like I'm in an experimental phase with some of this. But I can definitely look at this and go, okay, well, where does the focus need to be? So the numbers I just gave you, that's everything, that in reality. But what about a parallel universe where I didn't do certain things? How does that get me better? Okay. So I did the numbers just for fun on if I did not do any comic conventions last year. If I just totally took them out, I took the expenses out, I took the profits from them out, everything, took them out. If I did that and I was solely online, I would have made $46 last year. Not a lot, but keep in mind, that's a swing of almost $400.
Right.
That's not insignificant.
No.
Now, am I going to stop doing conventions this year? No, I've already signed up for a couple. So that's not going to happen. But it is going to make me think a little bit more about the ones that I do pick. Now, I played around and was like, okay, most of those shows were profitable. Or I at least broke even.
Yeah.
I have one Achilles heel show that all of my friends make fun of me for doing because I consistently bitch about this show. I love this show. I think this show is well run. I think it's a great comic book show. I do not do good at this show. And what show is that?
Oh, we know.
It's Heroes. It's Heroes. I think it's a great show. But if I took Heroes out, I still would have lost money. But I would have lost $179, which is almost a $200 swing to the better. Am I going to take Heroes out? No. I've already said, hey, I'm doing it this year. I'm going to do it. But having this and being able to see this stuff, in just numbers is helping me go, okay, well, to be perfectly honest, if I do it this year, which I'm gonna, if I have the same result as I did last year, I'm probably gonna ditch it. Because you know what? It's not even a financial thing. It's kind of a mental thing. When you're going to a show for 3 days and you're not selling anything, and you're going to other shows and you are selling stuff, it really kind of takes the wind out of your sails.
It certainly can. And last year we had a great time. We met a lot of really great creators, and even from the year before, it was kind of like reconnecting. We were in an enclave that many of the creators from the year prior were sort of situated around. So it was kind of like the old neighbor, going back to the old neighborhood in some respects, and that's fun. But that has a certain limit, because exactly what you're saying, day after day of low traffic or low engagement. And I'm not saying necessarily that's how it was for us. Last year, I think there were a couple really, I want to say that Saturday was surprising. Am I thinking of Saturday or am I thinking of Sunday?
Regardless. I don't know. It wasn't Friday.
Yeah. Regardless. No, it was really, it was really, it has its moments, but for indie creators, it's like that.
Well, and that's the thing. I was, I was going over these numbers with my wife. I was just kind of showing her what I did, and she likes math. And so I was showing her the, where I was doing these kind of like parallel worlds and stuff like that. And I was like, if I didn't do heroes, I only would have lost this much. And she was like, well, yeah, but what did you gain that might not have been monetary from heroes? Did you gain followers? Did you get, a few readers or whatever? And again, look, great show. This is not the show. This is not me talking shit. But I can tell you, I gained maybe a handful of Instagram followers. I gained one free tier Patreon follower, and I got maybe a couple Etsy sales after the fact. That's it. That's not worth the amount of money you put down for that show for me. When I can get more than that from a free post online. I released a new comic last week, 500,000 views, almost 100 new followers on Reddit, a new patron, 2 or 3 sales on Etsy. That was free.
Mm-hmm.
That was free. I didn't spend any money to go to a place to sit there and be kind of depressed for 3 days. So, but look, guys, that's me. You might do way better. And here's the thing: other shows that I do, not like that. And I think it's just that show has such a good potential. That's why I get irritated, because the potential is there to have an amazing show. It's there.
No,
but I just don't see the crowd coming anymore for our kind of stuff. And if they do, we get lost in the shuffle because there's just so much. So much.
And that's exactly it. So Ryan, you got to understand, Ryan's jaded. He's been in this area and at it for years. He's his soul is calloused. You can still call me like doughy-eyed, wet behind the ears. I've been in comics all my life, but I haven't been doing comics like this up until the last few years. So, and I'm newer to the area, so I'm still like excited. I'm still like, yeah, just the being there is kind of cool. Although last year I had my moments of, I could take it or leave it, a little bit.
I mean, look, I love having Levi there at a show like that, because he is so optimistic. Like, and I miss that. I really do, because I remember my first few shows, like doing SPX, like when I was 18 and stuff like that, and literally selling maybe 5 books, and just like, this is the greatest thing ever. Like, it was awesome, You
had and the cool venue in town finally gives you a slot on Wednesday.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
February. And you're like, yes, we made it, and and everything. But no, yeah. So my approach is and has been, even with the band, that is, if regardless, it's still like, I have no expectations going into the show, and if it turns out that it's cool and I make some sales and we get some more subscribers, which to your point, I don't know if we had that big of a bump on this.
I think we got like 5,
something like that.
Yeah,
but there's still, I'm still excited to do it and be a part of it. And that's the catch-22, because you feel like, with the logic and with the numbers you have in front of you, and you have evidence, it's not really maybe the best thing for every creator to do. But then there's that part that's like, well, yeah, but if we don't show up and we're the only ones from the area who aren't there, does that mean that we just get shoved to the back? It's almost like, do you have to do these bigger shows just to maintain visibility in the
No,
scene. And we've talked
no,
about it. You know,
no,
is it
no,
to maintain visibility in the scene? You know,
no, no. If that's what anyone's telling you, then no, then
yeah,
they're selling you something.
yeah,
Yeah,
and coming from live music, there is a little bit of that element. Uh, and at the same time, so I'm coming from that, hardcore punk, like, we're all in this together, mentality, you know, bringing that over here. And although we have good relationships with the local artists, and I think we're well respected. At the same time, though, like, how many of them came by our tables and bought our stuff? Not saying that's a requirement, but it's like, when it breaks down to brass tacks, comics can be a little bit different, and all that, arms over each other's shoulders, and it that only maybe goes to a certain point. So we've talked about whether or not we care about being part of the quote unquote club. We're just doing our own thing. And if you see us there, then we're there because we want to be.
right.
If you don't, and I'm not just talking about heroes. I'm talking about any show or any place, at all. Like, we do what we want to do based on what we think is best for us. And even that goes to, like, your individual ideas may be different than mine. You've done shows that I haven't been at. We aren't a package deal all the time.
Yeah.
So, with that said, forge your own path, figure out what's best for you. That's what Ryan's run all these numbers for. And that's why like you said before, I have a sense of, what my expenses were, and what, my, what I brought in, and how that adds up. But at this point, I'm still at a level where, I would spend the same amount if I went out to a bar every weekend.
Yeah.
So,
well, I'll tell you what, I'm continuing to track this. Did this completely change my trajectory for this year? I'll tell you what it did. I printed like 3 reprints of the weekly comics this year. That's done. I'm not doing that anymore. I appreciate the people that got them. I'm proud of the books that I put out. I'm going to try and put a big collection together through Amazon this year. But those single kind of issues that I was putting out on a monthly basis, that's done. I kind of quit that at the beginning of the year. There was just no return on investment there. I mean, look, I've had some okay sales and stuff like that, but I was not. It wasn't working. And for color print on demand pricing, the margins are just so small. They're just and it just wasn't worth it for me. Does that mean I'm going to stop publishing altogether this year? Hell no. I've got lots of other ideas. I'm probably going to do some black and white stuff. Like I said, I want to put out a collection. So it just kind of helped me go, okay, this isn't working. This is working. Let's try and push this up. I want to push my Patreon more. Look, if I had only done Patreon last year, I would have made the most money.
Yeah.
If I hadn't printed, if I hadn't gone to shows, if I just stayed on my ass and put out comics on the internet, that's where I would have made whatever my Patreon is. What is it? $250? Mm-hmm. Yeah, $250. That's what I would have made last year.
Free. The only thing you would have to factor as a cost is your internet bill and whatever whatever you number you put on your labor. But
right. Yeah.
Are we saying that's the path that everyone should take? And I love comics, and you do too.
No. Yeah. No, I love having them in my hand. I love going and finding new ones. I love going to shows. I love going to places. So yeah, no. The point of this was I think it's important for any level of creator to actually do those numbers. Doesn't take a long time.
No.
Just jot them down. I've got a little notebook. That's where I do it all, and then I figure it all out month by month. And it's just helped me moving forward. Again, none of my goals this year are about money. I'm not I mean, sure, I want to make more money, but I'm not. That's not the goal. The goal is not, okay, this year I'm going to break even. I don't really care. It's all about the work. This year I want to make good comics. That's what I want to do.
I don't think you're going to have any problem.
Nothing about the money.
Based on what you've done up to this point. So, having said that, I'm going to have to say my juicy little tidbit for next time, which I'd be happy to rant on the topic that I alluded to when we were going back and forth right before this. Having said that, Ryan, hope you have a great rest of your day and stay warm. And what else we got? What's left?
Well, I would probably just get off and go do the damn thing. I would just do the damn thing.
Yeah.
It's probably the best course of action.
All right. We'll see you next time.
Bye.